welcome to Cheap Joe's Art Stuff. My name is Julie and I'm here to impart some knowledge to you via a 2-minute art tip. And today's tip is about framing. This is a little bit of a harpy lecture combined with a tip. Today we're going to be talking about making your framing work harder. What I'm specifically talking about is that there's kind of this like prejudice against ready-made frames. Some people look down on them and think that, like, ooh, all your original art has to be placed in, a custom frame from a custom framer. Now, I'm not dissing custom framers, so don't send me messages because that's not the point. What I'm saying is that ready-made frames can be a very, very helpful option in framing your work. But I think sometimes people tend to look at ready-made frames in almost kind of like a pre-prescribed way. So they're like, oh, my piece is 5x7, so I will get an 8x10 with a pre-cut mat on the inside. But that's automatically less interesting because everybody's expecting that. Don't do what everybody's expecting. I think one of the greatest things about ready-made frames is the versatility. There are so many different kinds of ready-mades available out there these days, and I tend to be one of those bargain shoppers. When I find something good, I'm buying pretty much every one of them on the shelf, at that point. And then I just store them for later. And yes, I will do artwork to fit a particular frame that I know is that they're going to complement each other. It's, maybe it's working backwards, I don't know, but it works out monetarily speaking when you can sell your piece and you don't have all of your money tied up in a $200 frame. So I'm going to show you a little tip about a ready-made and then show you some of the other options, kind of crazy stuff I've done before. Like this is just a shadow box frame that's intended for like a medal or an award that your kid gets or whatever. But this one has like a soft canvas back. And so what I've actually done is pinned the watercolor inside there. I think it works better because it doesn't overtake the piece. And the same thing is true here. This is a discounted shadow box and the piece is actually floated in here. Now, granted, you're having a heart attack right now and I can already tell, I can already hear it through the video format. And why is because you're looking at this and you're thinking, oh, this is a watercolor and it's exposed to the elements. There's no glass here, see, because I can like just touch it. Don't have a heart attack. This is actually sealed with a watercolor fixative. So this is completely protected from the elements. Nothing's going to happen to it here. And there's all acid-free foam core, which is backing this and holding it up. So there's no danger here. So don't have a fit and don't get upset. It's all good. But I'm going to show you a little bit about some fun stuff we can do. So we have a standard ready-made frame that we carry here at Cheap Joe's. This is nothing all that fancy. It's a good deal though. That's why it's at Cheap Joe's. So we're going to pop the back off here. This is like a 12x16. And then I did this little teeny alcohol ink experiment play thing, but it's a really weird size. So you would normally go, oh, you're not going to really do anything with that, are you? Well, yes, I am. I'll show you how you can do something really, really fun with this odd shaped thingy. So I can take this out. Now, what I've done for the sake of expeditiousness is that I have a spare piece of watercolor paper just to give this a little bit of texture. It needs a little something going on in the background to give it a little bit of life and some oomph. So this is not like super expensive. It's just a scrap piece that I had laying around. And so this frame actually came with a double mat. So it's nice and deep and it's pretty, stuff like that. So when I lay this piece of watercolor paper in there, this is going to be the background that this whole thing exists on. So you're going to move this aside. So don't laugh. I forgot my ATG tape. If you are not familiar, ATG is adhesive transfer gum. We do sell it here at Cheap Joe's. This is what you would use for something like this, but I forgot mine. And I'm not going to go get more. So I have packing tape right here, folks, because that's what we're going to use. Now, you're going, no, I'm not saying this for archival purposes. Don't use packing tape. This is for video purposes only. So I'm actually just going to put a little bit of packing tape on here. But normally I would use acid-free ATG from Cheap Joe's, which is inexpensive and goes forever and forever. So this actual alcohol ink thing was just on an experimental piece of clayboard. If you haven't tried clayboard, it's excellent. So this has a little bit of body to it. If this was on a piece of paper, I would likely float it on a piece of foam core or even a piece of mat board, depending on the thickness and how much drama I want to create. But what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to lay this into this space. And as you can see, I don't measure much. I'm an eyeballer. Yes, I am floating it off center, top to bottom. I do that a lot. So you can see how that looks on there. Right like that. And so now we're going to pop her into that frame. Flip it around. Now granted, you can always back this with something else. You don't have to use this backer as it's provided here. You can do a backing board and then properly close it with backing paper, so you can do different hardware and stuff like that. That is always an option. But I think you can see that something as simple as a frame for under $10 really kind of does this piece some justice in kind of an unusual way. So I am just encouraging you to look towards ready-mades, because they could be a really, really great way to add some oomph to your pieces when you frame them for almost no money at all. So take a look, and we hope that you enjoy.